essentially what I want to talk about is Agentic AI, and the one I want to kind of focus on is called OpenClaw. You might have heard about it. But we'll start off from the beginning, which is a disclaimer, which is this video is just for educational purposes only. If you guys do want to play around with it, just be cautious that it's at the moment it's kind of like a black box. It's really, really powerful, but at the same time as it is powerful, it does have some limitations where if you give it too much information, it could go and process that information in unpredictable ways, like deleting everything, or like some people have given it their credit card details and it's gone and spent all their money. So just be cautious.
I didn't know about that. I guess the key takeaway is you want to be careful about how you use it. Like any technology, there's always going to be good and bad things that come from it. But Jeremy, before I'm not sure what you had initially planned, like the first bit, but why did you even get onto OpenClaw? What was the main thing that attracted you to it?
So we the way I kind of see it is a lot of the things we do is very process driven. So it's usually you go through the phase of experimentation at the beginning, like what kind of works, what doesn't work. Then eventually you'll lead to like a step-by-step list, which is like a process list. And if I can take that process list and give it to something or someone that is able to do that for me, it kind of frees up our time or my time or your time as human beings. So one example is like we have a lot of admin tasks that we have to do. Like we have a lot of bookkeeping, we have a lot of quoting, we do a lot of invoicing. If I can just create a process list and be able to hand that over to something like an agent, then that frees up my time. But you have to give it the authority to be able to make those decisions. So
Right.
another example is, and we'll go through this a little bit later, but if you look through your 3D printing process, you're essentially designing something, which is the creativity side. Once it's designed, when you pop it into your slicer, you're doing the same thing. You're auto-orienting it, putting it on the flat face down. You're adding supports if it needs to. You're checking the sliced file, and then you're printing it. So all you need to complete those 4 processes is for somebody to understand how a slicer works and how a 3D printer works. Then you can just hand them the file and say, give me an output out of this. And that's
Right.
where this whole OpenClaw thing comes into
Came into
play.
it, right? Because I guess so if you guys don't know, Jeremy's the director of 3D Printer Gear. How many staff do we have on now?
10.
10, right? So Jeremy, built this from the ground up, right? So all these processes that he's talking about, he's come up with these are all workflows, and he basically is dissecting every single step here and going, well, some of them you can't give to an AI agent now, so you hire for, need to move a physical box, you do that, right? But then you're saying that there's all these processes in your business, even from the printing and design and slice checking side, that you could give to, some sort of agent that you pay like $35 a month to employ or something like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, I mean, I'll start off with what it actually is, and then I'll show some examples of how we've used it. So I'm sure a lot of you now are aware of what a large language model is. So it's essentially ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini. All it is essentially a model that's been trained on pretty much all of the data of the internet. And then it's put all these little pieces together with reinforced learning, like the black dog makes more sense than the roller coaster, blah blah blah. It's essentially just like a language model that's taken all this feedback, and that's how you talk to it at the moment. So it's just you give it words and it spits words back out. What an agent is it's taken all the general knowledge of the internet then it's segmented that into particular field of knowledge. So say, for example, you would have a picture generation agent, which generates pictures. You would have a accounting agent, which is able to look at receipts and know how to categorize them, or how to create a file based on the Australian tax office. Or you could do like a design agent or a 3D modeling agent, which takes an idea and generates a 3D model out of it. So it's these specialized AI agents that can do specific tasks. Now, what an agentic AI, which is a step above, is you've got like a master agent, which you give directions to. Then it takes that and splits it into micro tasks and assigns those to minor agents, which fulfill the small tasks, then reports back to the master. Then the master reviews, then it reports to you. So an example of an agentic AI would be OpenClaw. So you give it one task and it will split that task into multiple agents. So you could have up to 1,000 running at one time. They'll do the work, report back to the master, then it'll report back to you. If that
Right.
makes sense.
So you only speak, because I guess most people here, and like put in the chat if you have used AI deeper than this, but most people here would say, yeah, I've used AI, like I've spoken to ChatGPT, like, and you would just type something in and like you said, it just gives words back. But you're saying basically you can set up these agents or even have this agentic agent which you speak to, and it basically goes and delegates tasks all in the background, and you don't see any of that until it reports back to you. And that's why kind of it's like a black box and a little bit scary. But I guess that's what makes it so powerful, is that you can do all this work very, very quickly.
Exactly.
Mm.
So, for example, is you could give it very general terms. Like some people have set it up and said, browse the internet and find the easiest way to make me $10,000, for example. And it will set up one section to do the research. That research would go back, it'll get analyzed, it'll find the most cost-effective way to make $10,000. It'll come up with a plan, it'll execute that plan, then it will report back to you and give you progress on what's going on. And that's what some people have tried to do. And it's done some very, very odd things, but it's generated a lot. Like some people have made $100,000 with it.
What? That's interesting. Okay. Yeah, so you take a task or a business or something and you're splitting it up into its like main components, So you have an accountant, you have a research analyst, marketing person, operations, and like, so this basically, actually it's not doing anything crazy in terms of its architecture. It's just, like how it's built is kind of how businesses like are built, right? With different departments.
Yeah, pretty much. It's similar to how a business is built, but you're just giving it a lot more authority to take control of your computer and do things that, like, you wouldn't give somebody that has just started access to your entire file system and your entire financial system and your entire database. But that's essentially what you're doing when you hand over the keys to this thing.
Yeah.
So it's either you can trust it, let it take full control, or it'll go the other way around. Like you don't really know. That's the thing. That's why you have to start very, very small.
Mm-hmm. Super interesting. Okay, so have you got any examples of how you've used it that you wanted to show us, or did you have a
Many, many examples.
very good?
So I'll show you what it looks like, but it doesn't look like anything special. I'll share this. So can you see my screen at all?
Yeah, we got OpenClaw, a little, yeah. Yep.
So this is essentially what it looks like. It's just this dark website with a few bits of code and some instructions on what to do, some sponsors. So it's just a little bit of code that you deploy on your computer, right? If you deploy it on your computer, you want to do it on a computer that's not connected with any sensitive information. So I wouldn't do it on this specific computer. What I did was I deployed it on a separate computer, and we're just remoting into this one. So this is what it essentially looks like. So what I've done is, so this is deployed on its own computer. So it's its own thing. What I do is I've got the master. At the moment, it's called Felix. That's the name of who I speak to, which is a computer. And the brain behind it is ChatGPT. So I've connected a ChatGPT to this agent, and now it's our local agent. So it's trained on 3D printer gear. So it's gone through our entire website. It's seen everything that we offer. It's got the 3D printers, the consumables, the resin, the training, the service and repairs, and then it's created a map of everything and how it all links together. So how does the customer journey work? How it all links together? How it relates to 3D printing? And so when I ask it something, it's completely trained on the entire contents of the website and the entire contents of the 3D printing industry. So it's like a very specialized brain.
Yeah, and that's
So I can
important.
give it.
You need context, right? Like it needs to actually know who you are, your goals, what you know, because
Exactly.
otherwise it's just very general advice. And I think this is the problem. A lot of people when they're having these conversations with AI, like they're just putting in like a basic question that there's not enough like information for it to actually use to make an informed response.
Exactly.
Mm.
So one of the questions I asked was, do some web research and tell me what the current feedback is of the launch of the X2D. And it came back and gave me a summary of what people liked. It said it's broadly positive with some guarded skepticism. Bambi did the sensible thing. People see the X2D as a practical successor to the X1C rather than a wild leap. That's landing well with most of the market. Gives me what people like, what people didn't like, the community mood, buying objections, and the bottom line. So this went through all like the forums and all the things relating to this particular question, and it gave me back a summary, which is what I asked for. Now you could take this exact thing and take it one step further and say, at 7 a.m. every day, go through and find the biggest issue with 3D printing at the moment. And it will come back and give me feedback. Then I can say, okay, now from that feedback, pick the top 3, and of those top 3, which one should we create content on for our Instagram page? Then it'll pick the top 3. From there, I can say, okay, give me a general script that we can follow. Give me a video timeline that we can follow. From that video timeline, create the actual video. Put in the narration, use my voice, add that voice in. So it's just layered. So it's a step-by-step layer of everything you could do. And at the end of it, it would output a video that we could then use on our Instagram. We don't do that at the moment because I still think it needs a little bit of work, but you don't want to be, plus we don't want to just be AI slop. We want to actually
Yeah.
provide.
You don't want to automate before you know what to automate too.
Yeah.
Like you want to be hands-on until you find the right process. And then if you're just doing the same thing over and over again, and it takes you all this time to like do the research, look on other accounts or whatever, and you know what the process is you want to follow, that's when it's really powerful. I mean, of course, sometimes it can guide you on the process if you don't know what it is. But with something as sensitive as posting and attracting people, I think I think it makes sense to be pretty hands on, at least to begin with. We've got in the chat, you assume that they need a killer PC. Does the PC need to be really good, Jeremy? Actually, I'm not 100% sure on that. It probably has to be.
You don't. It doesn't need to be a good PC. No. Any PC will work. The only time you want it to be a good PC is if you're locally hosting the language model, and you need a very good PC for that. Like you need again upwards of say the $40,000 range.
Oh yeah.
That gives you enough compute to actually host the actual language model.
Oh wow, I didn't realize. So if you do want to run it locally, you actually need a really. It makes sense, right? If it's trained on everything on the internet. Yeah. Okay.
So
Great.
that's why the better option is if you have a ChatGPT account or if you have any type of LLM account, you connect that and that becomes its brain.
Right. So
And
if I had
then,
Claude by Anthropic or whatever,
yeah,
then I can plug
exactly.
that into there instead of
Yeah,
ChatGPT, OpenAI's
exactly.
ChatGPT. Yep.
So the
So I have
way
a
we
quick
kind
question.
of use it, just a general overview, is what we do is that should be the other way around.
Do you
Am I
want to
still
zoom into the
sharing my,
word?
can you still see that screen?
We can see the word doc. Can you just zoom right into it? Yeah, beauty. Thank you.
So the way we kind of use it is we define a problem first. So what's the problem that we're trying to solve? So one thing, for example, like we'll go over this one example, then I'll show you how we've built on top of it. So one problem that we chose to solve was people don't know how to charge for their 3D printed models. Okay, that's the problem. Defining the role. So for it to work really well, you have to define what type of specialty do you need to be specialized in to be able to solve this problem. So for me, it would be you are a business consultant. Okay, you're a business consultant. People don't know how to charge for their 3D printed models, specializing in additive manufacturing. Okay, defining the vision. So what do you want the end goal to be? A calculator that anybody can load in a 3D model and it will give them a cost breakdown and a recommendation of what they should charge to be profitable. That's our end goal. Then you don't want to give us specific instructions. You want to say, this is my problem, this is the role, this is the end vision. What do you think is the best way to get there? So never give specific instructions. Let it reason and decide what the best way to get there. And then it will output a plan. Like it'll give you a plan on what it thinks is the best based on its business consultant specializing in additive manufacturing, the best in the world.
Yeah, yeah, and you can literally say stuff like that, because then it'll be more thoughtful and reason. But this is
Yeah.
all about building up the context, right? And with the actual engineering the prompt, so actually telling it what to do, if you tell it how to do something, it'll go and do that. Like it'll listen to you. So if you don't pick the best way, or if you don't consider something, it will start to avoid those things. And that's why I guess what's the word for it? It's like an open-ended prompt, like you're allowing flexibility in like how it decides to solve this problem.
Yeah, exactly. So you let it solve the problem based on industry best practice. So industry best practice is usually documented. There's usually theory behind it. Let it utilize that theory and create a practical application. So what it ended up doing was, let me find it. Sorry guys, give me 1 second. Got too
If you
many
got a
tabs
question,
open.
guys, chuck it in the chat, and I'll voice it for you.
So what it ended up creating was this here, which is that profit calculator. So this is this was revision 1. So you pop it in, it creates this model, and then it gives you a breakdown of weight, print time, cost breakdown, analysis, and what it thinks you should charge. Okay, so that was revision 1. Then what we did was we built on top of that. And we took that coding calculator and we were like, okay, now we want to create a cloud-based slicer to be able to give more predictable wait and print time. So I want this wait and print time to be exactly what you would have gotten if you had sliced it yourself so that it remains consistent. Then it went and built a calculator and added on top of that. Then we were like, okay, now we want some visual tools. So I want to be able to rotate this and auto orient it for the best way to actually print this type of model. Then it went and built auto orientation features. It gave you the manual option to rotate 90 degrees in the X, Y, and Z. Then I was like, okay, let's give it some order management tools. So I want to be able to quote, I want to be able to invoice, I want the customer to be able to put comments in, and I want to be able to get a notification. Then I was like, okay, to be able to do that, we also need customer management. So then build a CRM on top of that. Then if we're going to have all these tools, let's build a front end widget. So then anybody can slap it on their website and allow for anybody to upload a file and give them a quote, and it will sync to the back end. Then we're like, okay, I want to be able to define materials for myself and materials for Tony and materials for Tyson and Andrew and Joshua, and they can have their own material sets. Then each one of us have different printers. So I want to be able to add my own printer in. Then I want to be able to define goals for myself. Like I want to make $2,000 a month. I want to know how much material I'm consuming. I want to know how much electricity I'm consuming. Then I want to be able to hand that over to anybody and now allow them to set it up themselves. And this was over an iterative process. It was built on top of the quoting calculator. Then it just gets stacked on top with all these different features. And what it came back with was this here. So this is the iteration of the original calculator, and it's called
Zoom
print
in a
profit.
little bit if that's possible. Sorry.
Do I need to zoom in?
Yeah. Oh, that's better. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
So this is an iteration. This is 22 iterations to be able to generate this.
Not coded by Jeremy, just prompted like he showed you before.
Yeah.
Literally.
So
Yeah.
now this is by the model doing research and then implementing the best ways to put all this together. So now anybody can take this and load in a model. So I can load in a model here. I can then place on a face, rotate the model, auto orient. I have all this rotational tools at my disposal. I can choose the specific materials. I can choose my printer. I can slice it. So it would give me the exact weight, time, support material usage, flushing volume, blah, blah, blah. It'll give me all this information. It'll show me where it's getting broken down. It gives me a price. I can.
Labor, the biggest expense no one puts.
Labor is the biggest expense. Yeah, exactly. Then it can show me economy, standard, rush. Then I can create a client, add it to that specific client. Then I can confirm it.
So it's like it's like a customer relation management software too. Like if you build up customers, you have them all there. You see the jobs that's connected to them, right?
All here. And the good thing about it is I have my own specialized portal that I can then I can embed it into my site. I can give it to anybody and they can now upload their own files and it will get synced to my dashboard.
That account. Yeah. Wow. So you've basically taken that kind of standalone tool and you've made it like a full functioning, what do you call it? Like print bureau style kind of.
Yeah.
It's a calculator, but it's way more than that.
People charge $300 a month for this. And
yeah,
it's available. I mean, you guys can use it. You guys can play around with it. It's calculator.filaform.com.au. You can make your own account. You can go through it all.
Is that free for anyone to just go and make it their account and
anybody can go and play around with it? I'll give it to everybody after the call.
Awesome.
You guys can all use it. You guys can all play around with it. Now, the next step on top of this is now that we can create a model, create orders, create invoices, and it'll give me an STL file.
Mm-hmm.
The next phase is if we've already got a cloud slicer that's synced to the model of printer that you have that knows the materials that you're using, why can't it just slice the file and give you the G code that you can load straight into your printer? So that would be the next phase that we would stack on top of that. Then the next one would be, okay, now that it knows the type of printers that you're using, why can't it now sync to your Wi-Fi network, check if the printer is busy, and if it's not, it will just assign it straight to that printer to start printing. And if it is printing, create a queuing system so that when it's done, it'll just load straight in.
You're taking
So
all these separate softwares and tasks and stuff that you're doing, and you're just putting it all in one spot and just letting it go, right? Like
no,
that's the
this
scary
is
bit.
just the master. This is just the master agent
Yeah.
creating all of this. So I
Yes.
tell it what I want to do, then it would create all of this. So the end vision is you want somebody to be able to order something at 2 a.m. and you want it to be able to slice it, get paid for it. So you want to be able to get paid for it. You want it to auto slice. You want it to find a printer that's free, loaded with the correct material. You want to send it to that printer. So all you have to do is come in the morning, and that model's done, ready to ship out. So it's just the manual labor that you need to do, but you want all that pre-existing stuff to be done.
Wow.
So that's the vision with this whole calculator.
And this all runs on. It's not your it's not, sorry, it's your computer, but it's not your personal like work computer. Like you've bought a separate computer for it, right?
Correct. Yeah. This is running on its own computer.
Right. So you kind of sandbox it in a way, like you
Yeah.
just give it what it needs. Yep.
Exactly.
Right. And then it's paid. It's a paid ChatGPT version that you're using, right? And that's important, I think, to actually pay for it, so you get like a good brain, I guess, that runs this all.
So you do the expense is you do need a premium account because you do want to. You don't want to run out of prompts.
Credits. Yeah.
And you don't want to run out of credits, and you want to be able to give it that brain to be able to think and reason. So a good way to describe it is the computer is the body, the brain is ChatGPT, but then what combines the brain to the body is the soul. So the soul is what we've trained it on, what it knows, who it thinks it is, what its goals are. That's the soul, and it's actually got a soul file, which is what it's...
All right. So OpenClaw kind of is like putting that all together. Is that paid at all?
No, that's completely free.
Wow. Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. And so that's where I can be like, okay, these are the printers we have connected to our network. This is the orders that have come in. Put these two together so they communicate in the most simplest terms possible.
Yeah, love it.
All right. Do we have any questions so far, by the way?
Yeah, I've kind of weaved in a few questions, guys. Another one just came through. OpenClaw will auto sync to the chat? ? So you have chats in OpenClaw, like you showed us that before.
Yeah.
I don't think it doesn't auto sync to like your like if you go to ChatGPT now, Jeremy, you don't see all of your OpenClaw chats. Like it's just using that as its brain. Like it happens all in the background, and then it helps it create these responses and all these tools that you're seeing here. Yes. So no, it doesn't sync with the chat. That's a good question. Yeah.
No. Yeah. It's its own chat, and you want it to be its own chat because it has access to your computer. So the only way I can communicate with it is via Telegram.
Oh, yep.
So
That's how I've connected with my Claude Code. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a Telegram set up. It's its own authorized channel, and that's the only way it will execute instructions is through my phone. Mm-hmm. If somebody sends an email to it, I've got it synced up to email as well, so you can actually give it instructions via email. But it won't execute anything via email. It won't execute anything that comes through the web. It won't execute anything that comes through unauthorized sources. The only authorized source is via my phone, via Telegram, or directly through the computer itself.
Yeah, the terminal. Yeah.
Yeah. But I can give it instructions like browse the web or find the cheapest flight or go through and find like a car to buy and negotiate with the seller, and I want to buy it for like $5,000 or whatever. And it will do all of that for me. And then it will come back with results.
Negotiate with the seller. And then they've got an OpenClaw that's negotiating with your OpenClaw.
Exactly. Eventually.
What happens then?
By the way, I just want to like put it out there that this is not well known at all. Like nobody is using it like this. This is maybe like 0.0001% of users. To be able to give control to this agent and let it execute things on its own is very, very new.
Yeah.
So it's still very experimental, which is why you don't want to give it too much information.
Yeah. I wasn't as brave as Jeremy to jump into OpenClaw. I went with Claude Code, which is where you're effectively creating that process, but it's very well defined, and it's not really a black box. Like you can actually like map out like what it's doing. That was the kind of way that I preferred it. But just last night I was setting that up to actually host so I've got a marketing agent, a content agent, financial one that will like look at profit and stuff for the business. And they're all going to basically report onto all the data that they get. They're going to report into one place, so I can ask anything about my business or ask it to do anything, and it can execute. You can look at the data, make decisions, and then go and execute that. So there's a lot of like ways that you can do this, right? So we've just talked about OpenClaw and Claude Code. Are there any other ones that are like this? Because it is still quite new, like you said.
So I'll give you some more examples. I've just popped in that calculator in the chat if anybody wants to play around with it.
Awesome.
But I'll give you some more examples. So one example is Stefan from CNC Kitchen.
I love it. Yeah.
Made this app called Bump Mesh. And I know Tony's spoken about it on our Instagram channel, but he did it the exact same way. The issue was it was very difficult to apply texture to STL files. How did we solve that problem? And using using theory that was researched and the latest papers that were available, he created this bump mesh through a very, very similar process. And then it was an iterative process of adding the displacement maps, adding the projection, adding the texture depth, adding the transform functions to be able to make it into a usable, feature-rich application. And you can also see all of this in his GitHub repository. So he's included all the code and how he got to that phase. Another example is this Filament Studio that we added into our website, where you can choose the different colors. You can paint it. So I can paint different sections of it.
Oh, wow.
I can see what the model looks like. This was also done through defining a problem and then giving us the best solution to try and solve that. And then using Stefan's bump mesh, we also added a texture section to it. So now you can give it texture.
Oh wow! That's just recent, right?
Based on bump meshes. That's just
very
recent.
Cool.
Based on bump meshes.
Which is all open source, by the way. The bump mesh. Yeah, he made it fully open. Which is like awesome because like the power of like sharing and coding really like has always been like about, well, empowerment and whatnot. I mean, Stefan can actually code, right? Like if you follow his YouTube channel, guys, like the guy could have done this himself, but he did it I think he built the first prototype in an afternoon of that. It would easily have hundreds of thousands of users now, I would say. Because like, I mean, we did a post on it that's got almost 100,000 views, and like it just solves a really, really cool problem. So if you want to learn more about it, go to it. Our Instagram will have we've got a little series of reels that'll come out in the next week. on all the different settings of it as well.
Yeah.
So,
So we just
yeah,
so,
little side
so
hustle.
we utilized Stefan's just to add the basic features into this one so that it's all in the one place. But obviously Stefan's one is more feature rich. There's everything in there. Another example is let me go to here. So this is our Formlabs landing page. And if you scroll down, one of the things that keep happening is there's always a huge amount of resins, and the same thing with filament, right? There's a huge
Too
amount
many
of
options.
filament resins available. How do I know, especially if I'm new to 3D printing, how do I know which material I need? How do I know what I need to do? So one thing that we did was we put all that information together, analyzed it, then created a web of applications. So now all you need to do is ask it, yo, I want to mount my 100-inch TV to the wall. What material do I need? It'll go through, analyze that application, and come back to you with what it thinks,
quick.
it thinks you're trying to do, what it thinks is the right resin for your application, alternative resin, and then advice on what you should do. So it gives you safety, orientation, which is very important, post-processing, and then any other recommendations. So it just goes through and analyzes everything and spits out what it thinks is the correct thing. That's another very, very good application for it.
Oh, definitely. I mean, like to be able to walk someone through that would take a long time, and then they can just do that themselves. Yeah.
Another one is, so we did the exact same thing, but for Filament as well. So shout out to Sam for helping us with this one. He created a web of all our materials and then gave us the
Oh, Sam from the community. Oh, awesome.
Sam from the community, yeah. So I need a filament for an outdoor plant will be in the sun. And it will go through the entire database of materials. So we have about 100 and something materials. So it'll come back and it's recommended ASA to be the most viable materials. I can click ASA and it'll take us straight to the page.
Oh, wow. Nice. That's awesome. I better recommend that more when people ask about filaments.
Yeah, and so you could do, so the possibilities are endless essentially.
You take any problem really, and you know if there's some way to do that on the computer, then you'll find it basically.
Correct.
Now
Yeah.
we've got just a bit over 10 minutes left, Jeremy. Is there any, because we do want just at least some open questions, OpenClaw open questions. Is there anything else you wanted to share?
So these are some of the long list of examples that we've used it for, but I think we'll end it with just a quick summary, which is to be able to use this correctly. Number one, only give it the information that it needs. Number two is define your problem. Number three, define the role you want it to play. Number four, define the end vision. So what you want the end vision to look like. Let it reason and come back to you with what it thinks is the best way based on the specialty that you've defined the role to be, and then iterate. So it's never going to come back with something perfect. It's just iteration on top of iteration on top of iteration. And eventually you'll get to something that is working and is viable. So use that profit calculator version 22, play around with it, and that's the result of 22 iterations stacked on top of each other. And that will only get better and better. So the good thing about something like OpenClaw is because you're training it on your specialty, over time, it will start finding the little things that either you're not doing correctly or could be improved upon, and it will recommend solutions or it will implement solutions
Right.
for you.
Like it gets to know you better, and therefore it's like, hey, have you thought about this? Have you, let's try this. So okay.
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
Don't trust it with missile codes.
No, don't.
Well, yeah, we trust probably people we shouldn't with those anyway.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Yeah, I mean, I would probably trust it more than some of the people that in
yeah,
control.
yeah. All right, so that's great. Thank you, Jeremy. That's Joe. Do you want to play a game? Very good. Yeah, some movie references. I love it. So we're good there, right? We've covered what we wanted to. Is there any questions for us on the OpenClaw to start with? You guys have been asking in the
I've
chat.
got one.
Yep, go for
Are
it.
there any significant limitations which you've experienced, come up against? Do you reckon they might be overcome in the near future? I'm just curious. Thank you.
Yeah, there's because it's a very, very new technology. There's a lot of limitations about obviously around safety and around what you can give it or what you feel comfortable giving it. But I think the main limitation is because it's quite new, it gets updated almost every day. So at the moment, I've stopped updating the one that I'm using because every time it updates, it kind of breaks. So then you have to go through the whole troubleshooting process and get it to come alive again. But it breaks consistently every time it updates. So it would either forget who it is, forget what it's trying to do, forget the entire like month of context that you've trained it on. So one example is I've trained it on a lot of admin tasks. So when somebody asks for a quote, sure, they can just go on the website and just generate a quote themselves. But some of our customers just like to send through an email and just want a formal quote.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of time that we spend just doing admin tasks. So I've given it that responsibility where we would send the details, it would create the quote for us, and then send back the quote number and an attachment that we can then send to the customer. We don't let it reply to emails because it just replies with a standard AI reply with those little dashes everywhere. So we spent the whole month training it on our product database, on the SKUs. If somebody makes a spelling mistake, use your best judgment to assume what the customer's asking for. Like if somebody writes textured plate with TXT, ERED instead of TEXT, it would at least know what it's trying to do. If somebody orders a H2S printer and puts in an X1 carbon build plate, it would at least be able to pick that up. So we spent a whole month doing that. An update came out, we updated, and it forgot everything. So yeah, it's because it's getting updated all the time. It does get better, but you do spend a lot of time having to retrain it.
Yeah,
So right
and
now,
OpenClaw is this big harness that will so when it's like you said, it's a black box. Like when it upgrades, stuff happens that you're not really sure about. When you make like custom softwares like that filler form calculator, that's very well defined. That won't change like if you update. Like it's a coded application, right? It's
yeah,
not going to like
correct.
change that. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. So there's some things that are going to be affected, like when you do upgrades, and there's some things like you've made, like here's a website that I made. It's like there's the website code, like it's packaged here. It's not going to change, if you update it. So, Eddie's asking the. Oh, sorry, go for it, Jim.
So when you think about, sorry, Eddie, we'll get to you next. So when you think about OpenClaw, think about it as so I think it's kind of getting built into a computational form of a person. So computational form has a brain, a body, then you've got memory, and you've got the soul. So it's the brain doesn't change, the brain still thinks the same. The computer's still there that gives all the accessibility, but it's the memory and the soul that changes during updates. So the soul is the personality that it has. So I wanted the workplace to be fun, so I gave it a funny sense of humor. So I'm like, be a little bit funny, crack some jokes here and there, have a laugh. And so it's this really funny kind of personality now. But when it gets updated, it's gone. in terms of memory, when you teach it something, it's supposed to lock that into, it's got short-term, mid-term, long-term memory. Short-term memory are things it doesn't need to remember. Long-term memory is the processes. And so as you train it, it stores them into specific sectors, which becomes its memory, which is how it gets better and better. But during updates, sometimes that memory file gets wiped.
Gotcha.
And so you lose the core functionality of what its purpose is.
Awesome. Can you run an interface on your phone without it accessing anything on your phone? So can you interface with it on your phone? It's the Telegram.
Yeah. So
right.
I chat to it via Telegram, but it's just I'm just sending it instructions. I'm just asking for feedback, but it still has to run on a computer or computational device.
Yeah.
Some
so
people
you could
run
buy
it.
a computer, or you could put it on a server, right? Like you could pay for it.
Yeah. So you could run it on a local computer, or you could run it on a virtual server.
Right.
So it's called a VPS. So somewhere along the clouds, you can just log into a virtual private server, have your own OpenClaw, but you're limited with what you can give it access to. So obviously you can't, because it's just running on a virtual computer, you can't give it files, you can't give it access to browser, you can't give it access to specific information. Like if I wanted to create an email address, I have to be mindful that if somebody gains access to a virtual private network, they have all that information. Whereas running it locally, I don't need to worry about somebody gaining access to it because there's only specific ways that people can access
it's a lot
that.
safer. Yeah. Awesome. Any other questions, guys? A couple of minutes left. How much time, Jeremy, have you saved on those admin tasks? Because I've seen you answering emails. Jeremy gets at least, well, it's tens of emails, probably maybe 100 a day or something. I don't know what the exact number is. But your admin emails that you got to automate, that's a huge time saver for you, isn't it?
Yeah, that helped a lot. In terms of just being able to forward it onto this agent and having it do it all for me, then send it back and I just overlook it. That's helped quite a lot. So it's just these small little mundane things that we've been using it for. But we've also used it for a lot more complex things like stock management.
Okay.
So when we get data analytics on like the type of material people are buying, the type of colors that we need to reorder, what's our order threshold, is there anything that sparked this change in like purchasing behavior? When do we need to order to make sure we don't run out of stock? Based on like the latest lead times and like the current situation with everything going on with shipping and logistics, what do we need to be mindful of? So you're pretty much training it on being specialized in one specific area of the business, and that becomes the source. So you can use that as a very, very powerful analytics tool.
Yeah, especially for problems that are a little bit more complicated, right? Like if you've got an issue that only has one variable, you can look at the data and you'll be fine. Maybe if it's 2 or 3 variables, you could still do it. When it's something like any more complicated than 3 dimensions, your brain starts to hurt a little bit when you're trying to like analyze the data. And I think that's what AI is really good at, is like understanding like complex issues and simplifying it, especially if it's got access to all your data, like to the data that it needs.
I mean, when you in terms of a 3D printing use case is you could scour the web, you can do a lot of research, you can find what's needed in the marketplace, or you can just let it do that. So one example is with vintage cars or prestige cars. Which model? So these are questions you can't answer instantly without having to delve a little bit in research. Like, which models have the most popular groups on Facebook? Of those models, which car parts break and are no longer available?
Right.
On that list, what's the highest value thing that I can make where people will most likely buy it. Where do I find these spare parts from? What's the best way to design it? Should I scan it? Should I 3D model it? Should I reverse engineer it? What material should I print it from? And then it'll give you this entire instruction list of like where to find the model, where to find the car parts, where to find the thing that needs doing. So it could be, say, like an indicator stick. And then once you've done it, you would post that into that group and see if anybody else needs it. So that's like a perfect way to have all that research done for you, so you know exactly which road to take that will lead to the greatest success.
Yeah, it can really like look at the whole picture for you and take you through the whole thing. And that's why when I started with this stuff and really got into Claude Code, my brain almost popped, because I was like, where do I start? Like I could like I could literally do so many parts of my business now. Like I've just made a configurator for a product that we make. You know, before it would take like 10 minutes per product, and then I process optimized and got it down to 5. Now it's like instant. Like it literally, the order will come in and then I'll get a printable file like ready to go. And if I'm selling 100 of them, 200, 300 a year, like it's going to add up. 5 minutes per piece, like, you know, so very good. We are out of time. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, guys. Now, these sessions, we do come up with the topic, but we come up with the topic based on what we think you guys will want. The other way that we can come up with them is if you tell us things that you want, and then we can, you know, see if we can work them in there. So if there's something that you want to learn or do, or for us to explore, you know, just let us know. Always feel free to post it in the community. If you have any 3D printing problems, wins, we want to hear about them, because that's how we, you know, that's how we help. We help you solve them. that's our goal. So, Jeremy, thank you very much for showing us OpenClaw today.
No, you're welcome. Thanks, guys.
All right. Ciao, everyone.